Okay, in bar 34, we have a doit. That's that squiggly line going up. And what you do for a doit, it's kind of a sound effect. Don't take it too overly seriously. It's what you're doing is you just ascend through the partials, and you get kind of a whoop kind of sound. Now, if you've never done that before, let me give you a little instruction on how to get started. When we go up through the partials, we also move the slide out. That's called playing against the grain. When you play up, you ascend, your music ascends, but you move the slide out, and you do sort of a whole bunch of lip slurs. So to practice that, go through this exercise where you play up through partials while also moving the slide out. So it starts with low B flat in the second partial, then E in the third partial, then G sharp in the fourth partial, B natural in the fifth partial, then C sharp in the sixth partial, and then D sharp in the seventh partial, and then E in the eighth partial, right? And remember, a lot of those are alternate slide positions, so you have to make corrections for them. The C sharp is in the sixth partial. It needs to be in a long fifth position. The D sharp is in the seventh partial. It needs to be in a short sixth position. And then that high E is probably going to be in a normal seventh there in the eighth partial. The eighth partial tends to line up. But ultimately, use your ear, okay? Put the slide wherever it sounds right. So to practice playing against the grain, if you've never done it before, this is a great way to get introduced to the idea. And forgive me if this is not in tune. I haven't practiced this exercise in a long time with all these crazy alternate slide positions. That was a very slow doit, that last thing that I just did. And to bring that into context here, in bar 34, we have a D in the staff. And what I'm thinking of is I'm thinking about kind of doiting up to a G that's an octave and a half above that. If I hit the high G, it's fine. If I don't hit it, that's fine too. It's just a sound effect. But most trombonists will tell you it's helpful to think of aiming for a note. Some trombonists will tell you it's good to think about squeezing the note one octave up. This note is so low already, though. It's in the middle of the staff. And also, the lower you go, the less likely you are to see a doit written because the partials get further and further apart, so it's harder to execute that doit. So this is pretty low already. So instead of just taking it up an octave, I'm thinking about taking it up an octave and a half to that G in the high G, which would be in sixth position. It would be a high G in sixth position in the ninth partial, I believe. So in context. So it's not that big a deal. It's really kind of a sound effect. Be aiming for a note. If you hit the note, fine. If you don't hit the note, that's fine too. It's really just a sound effect. So I hope that helps you get started with your doit adventures.